All right. Welcome in, everyone. Thank you guys for joining God's Prepared Warrior live tonight. Hopefully, all of you can hear me. Thank you guys for joining me over here on TikTok. White Willow, I see you here, my friend. Thank you for joining me. I know it's a little late for you, but you made it. Thank you for joining me tonight. Well, we good. Thank you guys for the 5x5 because let me tell you, right before, well, when I hit go live on YouTube here, I kept getting an error message saying that um, too many people were logging in at the same time. So apparently, me and a million other people go live at 9 o'clock on a Monday night using StreamYard. So here we are. Praise God, we made it through. I Googled it and it said, well, sometimes you have to restart your computer and all that good stuff. And, I'm like, well, I'm going to bring on everybody all at the same time. And normally I bring on TikTok first because they're a little bit easier to start and it takes a little while for them to really start coming in depending on the stream. So thank you guys for joining me tonight over here on Hey Cat Crazy, I see you, my friend, over here on TikTok. Thank you guys for joining me. We have a great conversation to talk about tonight, and I'm excited about it. But there's a lot of things in the news that I want to share with you that we need to really pay attention to, and one has come out today, and I'm like, wow, we really got to look at this. So we'll get to all of that here in a minute. If you're new to the channel and you're returning, thank you guys for joining us tonight on God's Prepared Warrior Live. I'm excited. My name is Fernando, and this channel is all about preparedness in the physical and the spiritual. And so we look at faith and preparedness together on this channel and how they go together. So um, it's really cool what we do on this channel and how we get our videos out and all that. So today, another glitch in the system. Scott says, I worked computer support for decades, and reboot was the answer 50% of the calls. You're right. It's either that or is it plugged in? You know what I mean? That's so true. You're so right, Scott. Welcome in, Shelly. Thank you for joining us. Thank you guys for the 5x5s. Okay, so this morning I recorded my mindset, because remember, Mondays is Mindset Monday, right? And so had a great video that I sat in my car and recorded. And when I hit the button to transfer it to YouTube so that it would upload it, I got an error message on my phone. Why? Because Fernando did not dump extra stuff over the weekend. And so my phone was full this morning and it did not record that video. So I am going to do 2 videos tomorrow. So we don't miss the Monday video because it was a good one. It was a good mindset video for today. So I will do 2 videos in the morning for you guys because I don't want you guys to miss out. So we'll do that. So we're doing okay over here. I hope all of you guys are doing well where you are. And it's been super hot over here in Texas. And, we're not seeing any relief anytime soon. The great thing is we haven't had any rain, even though we need it, right? We haven't had, all of that torrential rain that floods the whole city. So we had a shower, I think, yesterday in parts of South Central Texas, but not all of it got it. So yeah, we're still boiling hot, and that's crazy. Welcome in, Dana. I'm glad you're here tonight. Salt Miss, welcome in. I see you. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with the Warrior Briefing. I'm excited, guys, because the channel is growing really well. You guys are doing an awesome job. And so I like to start off our live stream with what you guys are doing, right? I always say this channel is not about Fernando, it's about all of you. And this channel is made not by me, but by you. And so I love to share what you guys are doing. So over on YouTube, we gained 4 new community members over the week, which now brings us to 1,223 subscribers on YouTube. Yay. Over on TikTok, we gained 21 new community members over the week, and we are now at 4,250. So all of you over here on TikTok, congratulations to you guys. Over on Facebook, which was weird. I don't know. It's weird. Facebook, we lost 14 people. That's kind of like, I don't know if it's the algorithm, or if maybe we had some bots and they drop. I don't know what's going on, but anyway, we're down 14 on Facebook. We're at 311. Over in the groups page on Facebook, the God's Prepared Warrior community, we actually gained 5 new members in there on the groups page, and we are now at 56 members strong in the Facebook groups page. So that's pretty cool. I'm excited about that. Over on X, we gained 2. Here lately, we've been losing like 1 and 2, and now we gained 2 more. Praise God. So we're at 1,044. And over on Instagram, here's the awesome part. Instagram has now superseded YouTube. Instagram is at 1,300, and we gained 4 new members over the week. So in total, all week, we have 36 new community members on our social platform. So that's pretty cool. You guys are awesome by liking the videos, watching them, commenting in the comments, and sharing them with your friends. Thank you for doing that. And all of this growth is you. And so I applaud all of you. So thank you for doing that. You guys are awesome. Keep doing it. Keep watching the videos. Keep commenting, because I love to read your comments. And a lot of times you guys are too funny in the comments, and I love reading your comments. All right. So I'm going to encourage you. I'm going to need to open this up here because I had to restart my computer. And so I lost all my links. But the great thing is all of our news links are in the description of this YouTube link. So if you're watching on YouTube and you're in the live link right now, if you go to the description, you can follow along. You can follow along there, and you can look at all of the news articles that I'm sharing with you tonight. And a few of these I really want you to pay attention to because there is information that's going out that, if you're not really watchful, you won't see it. So let me grab this first one. Forgive me, guys. The computer has me really jacked up today. All right, I'm just going to move that over here. And yeah. What's this? Oh, yeah, I need that. Okay. All right, so here we go. This first one. This first one is coming from PBS News, and this one's the one I'm talking about. I want you guys to really pay attention to this. Coming from PBS News, and it says, Washington grapples with 1.4 billion, with a B, billion National Guard deployment extension until 2029. Okay. Do you hear what it says? Let me read it to you. It says, it's been 12 months since President Donald Trump announced a crime emergency in Washington, pledging to make the city safe and beautiful, deploying the National Guard. But a mission that seemed temporary has been extended through January of 2029. Residents and a new cardi of local officials see in it an unacceptable attempt by federal government to restrict the heavily democratic city's autonomy, and a year in still question why having troops on the streets of the nation's capital is necessary. So I want you guys to look at that, and I want you guys to make this mark in our mind, right? This is the capital of the United States of America. These people were brought in to clean up the streets, basically, right? And now they are being extended until 2029. 3 more years. Hey, King Corso, welcome in, my friend. Think about it. Why would you want National Guard troops to stay in the United States Capitol for 3 more years? I'll let you think about that for a little bit. Because the obvious answer is something's coming and we need to protect the Capitol, right? Wouldn't you agree? I think so. Anyway, keep your eyes on that one, because I think that is going to be something really big coming down the line later on. Not to bring any fear, but it's like they're saying it, but they're not saying it in the open. You know what I mean? It's, yeah, when you think about it, it can happen. All right, this next one is coming from The Hill. And I want you guys to make sure you go to this one. This is number 2 in all of the links that are in the description. It's the 2 links. This one is from The Hill, and it's the camera. So I'm not going to read the art, but I'm going to tell you, if and you scroll down all the way to it's pretty far down. Let me get this advertisement out of the way. If you scroll down all the way to the picture that says deflock couldn't load map, right underneath that there is a link. It says click here for the link. When you click there, it gives you a map of earlier. I didn't get to play with it, but it asks you to put in your zip code, and you're able to see all of the flock cameras. And this is coming from deflock. Yeah. So check this out. I think this is, I saw this, I came across it. I think it's something that I'm going to keep up with all of my windows that I have open, like for weather, for things like that, just to have this open in case somebody says, hey, Fernando, where are, flock cameras around my neighborhood? I'm able to find them by putting in their address. So go to this. This is the second link in the description. Click on it, find the deflock map, and there's a link to click underneath there to bring that up. I thought that is something that we can look at and stay vigilant to. So make sure that you check that out. I put that in there. I came across that today. I thought it was awesome. All right, the next one is coming from the AP News. If it'll load here. And it says speedboat driver charged after capsizing on Statue of Liberty tour, killing an infant and a mother. I brought this one up because it's one of those, situational awareness things. This happened on the around the Statue of Liberty, and this motorist was piloting his boat and ran into um, people, overcrowded and operating with a slew of violations on his boat. The boat's pilot was charged with causing the deaths of 5-month-old Antola Garcia and 27-year-old Sarah Sanchez through misconduct and neglect. So I think all these people were on the boat, and this guy was very negligent in what he was doing. So that brought, I saw that, and that brought sadness to my heart. So I was praying for that family. Welcome in, Tammy. Thank you for joining us tonight. And so I thought that was something that you guys might want to look at and pray for that family, for those two people. And yes, very tragic. Scott, you're right. Yes, Dana, you're right. Very unnecessary too. But yeah, these things are happening, and situational awareness is just proves that we really have to be on the lookout wherever we are. Man, I am a mouse pro right now, switching back and forth on all these things. You guys would be proud of me if y'all was to see what I'm doing over here. All right, this next one is coming out from ABC News 8. It says, too close for comfort. This is coming out of Maine. A Maine lifeguard recounts being dragged 5 to 6 feet underwater by a great white shark. And so Greg is the man's name. He is the park manager at Scarborough Beach State Park. Said that he was caught in a boat propeller, but he was in the mouth of a shark, and so he was drug under 5 to 6 feet under the water, and he thought he was caught by the propeller, but it was actually a shark. And so he was rescued, and he is doing fine. And so I just thought that was another situational awareness moment, right? Even in the water, you got you got to be careful. Saltman said he grabbed the swimmer's buoy. Yeah, Jaws Part 10. That's right, Dana. Dana says Jaws Part 10. Welcome in, guys, over here on TikTok. That's right. Yeah, but yeah, you're right. That is a miracle, Scott. You know, I mean, he was able to live and tell about it. There's a lot of sightings here this summer. Yeah. Well, you know, sharks are hungry, and you know, they're gonna go looking for food, and that's why we gotta be vigilant, even in the ocean, right? I mean, that's just really, really scary. Okay, the next one is coming from Fox 29 News, and it says police search for a gunman who killed a woman, wounded a man on a North Philly porch. So this man, the 61-year-old woman was killed. Man is fighting for his life as a barrage of gunfire erupted last Sunday night on a North Philadelphia porch. It says the police responded to this house just before midnight. According to officials, they found the two victims suffering from gunshot wounds outside the property, and they were transported them to Temple University Hospital. The woman was pronounced dead at the hospital, while the man remains in critical condition, according to authorities. Investigators believe that at least one shooter opened fire on the couple as they sat on the porch, leaving behind at least 20 fired shell casings. So to me, that looks targeted. They're still investigating this thing. So this lady lost her life, and so this man is fighting for his life. And so let's keep these folks in prayer. Another situational awareness, thing to think about. You can be on your front porch, enjoying. In Philadelphia, I'm imagining it's not so hot like it is in Texas, but yeah, and they're on their front porch, and we still have to have situational awareness about us, right? The next one is coming from CNN. And it says here, death toll rises to, this was earlier. I'm pretty sure there's more. Death toll rises up to 132, with hundreds more injured in the Columbia earthquake. The association says it was a 7.4 magnitude quake. Yeah. Advertisements. I hate this thing. No thanks. Death toll rises, yeah, and it is the strongest recorded in the country in the last decade, according to officials in Colombia. So far, according to the time that I looked this up, there were 132 people have passed, and 570 have been injured, and because of the result of this 7.4 earthquake that struck Colombia. I don't know if you guys have seen some of the video, but I was sharing video with Salt Mist today, and I'm like, have you seen this? And she's like, yeah. And she's like, but I didn't see the church fall down like that in the video I saw. And so all of this video was just popping up, almost every 30 minutes. You could see a new portion of video, different, kind of a different place. Maybe even in the same place, but in a different angle. So, yeah, this was a pretty big earthquake today. So I want to use this to kind of segue into tonight's conversation, because I think this is important because of what I was witnessing myself as I was watching all of this video unfold. And so I thought it would be fitting, and you guys know me already, when it comes to things like this, we're really going to talk about it, because what if we're caught in that kind of situation? You know what I mean? And so I think it's really important for us to really be prepared, and have some kind of awareness about us, right? Most of the things that we talked about tonight so far have been about situational awareness, and the different places where people have either suffered or are struggling in whatever has happened to them, right? And so you can see that maybe they were aware of what was happening around them. Maybe this was just kind of a random thing. But when it comes to weather related events, you cannot predict a earthquake. But when you're in an earthquake, you don't stay in the mall. And my wife showed me a video today as I was getting ready for today, and she's like, look babe, look at this video of all these people in the mall. And we're watching this, and it's a mall that's of several stories. And the earthquake happens, and everybody is running everywhere. And I'm watching this, and I'm like, that is the worst case scenario. You're in a mall, the mall is full of people, like full, and you're on the second or the third floor, and everything starts shaking, right? So in some instances that I've seen, I've never experienced it, but I've seen, in some instances, when the earthquake is happening, um, electrical lines and poles are also shaking and waving, and a lot of times those cables come disconnected, and you lose power, right? So in the mall, in this video, I'm probably going to post it on my post section here on YouTube. But I can imagine that the escalators that people were trying to go down did not work. And in that video, there were so many people, and I'm making my hands like this because it was so crowded on people trying to take those escalators, people that were trying to just get out of that mall. And so, I mean, you can't predict a earthquake, but you know, if you're in the middle of that, it is important to leave that building. The other thing is that I saw is that people are in the middle of the street because they ran out of the building, right? And I get it. You already know the earth is shaking, this building's shaking. I am not going to be in this building. And so their first instinct, and was correct, was to get out of the building. But what they did was they stayed in the street, right? It's like their idea of escape was plan A, get out of the building. And then there was no plan B, C, or D, right? It's get out of the building, stand in front of the building that's way bigger than you that could come crashing down on you, right? And I'm sitting here like this today watching these videos, and I'm like, oh my goodness, why are they just standing in the middle of the street? I get it. The earth is shaking underneath them. But I tell you what, if I could not run because the earth is shaking, I would walk and balance myself to get to an area where I was not in front of a building in the event that that building falls down. So, situational awareness, plan A, get out the building, plan B, get out of the front of the building and get into some open field somewhere where nothing is going to fall on you. I just kind of felt like when I was watching that, people were just in shock of what was happening, that maybe they got to step one, get out of the building, and then they were just there videotaping the building falling in front of them. I don't know. That's just scary to me. I would make sure that I got my family out of the way and that kind of thing. So, okay, that's that. So let's get into our lesson for tonight. And I have titled this, When Nobody is Coming. When nobody is coming. So I want to talk about this because I think that we need to understand that, and I've been talking about this probably maybe the last couple of weeks, but we need to become our family's first line of help. Okay. Now, I think that, we do well. We do well to prepare. We do all of the things, right? And you hear me say that a lot too. We do all the things, and that's good. Do all the things. But are we taking care of our family in the way that we need to guide them, right? What would we do? What would you do if you called 911 and help couldn't get to you right away? Think about that. You call 911 and, there's an earthquake. And they couldn't get to you right away. Not because the police didn't care, not because, the firefighters don't care, EMS doesn't care, because they do. But our first responders were busy, right? Um, they were everywhere all at once, right? And when a major emergency happens, like this today, right? Hundreds or even thousands of people may need help at all at the same time, right? Um, and I'm looking at all of this video, and I'm imagining in my brain, how do they have enough policemen to assist? Do they have enough firefighters, enough EMS crew teams? One of the hospitals, I believe one of the hospitals came down. I think that's what my wife was telling me. um, is there enough people to respond to all of the people that need help? Um, because what if nobody is coming, right? Not because anybody cares, but because sometimes help is coming, and you have help isn't coming, and you have to survive, and you have to bridge the gap of help until someone gets there, right? um so let's dig into this, because I think we really need to think about this one. I think, and I will include me, because this is me. I think I've become dependent, right? Because I worked security for a long time. There were many times on the college campus that I worked security that I had to call 911, because I only had so much right to do things in the job that I had. And so a lot of times I was calling 911. And a lot of times back then, there were many times that I was put on hold. So, you know, I think we've become dependent, depending on the outside systems, right? 911, we depend on that. We depend on the hospital, right? We depend on, the fire department, the police department. We depend on the utilities, right? We depend on all of that. We depend on, government agencies. We depend on grocery stores, right? Um, that's where we get our food from, right? Uh, not everyone is a hunter and gatherer, right? Um, they are, but from the grocery store, you know what I mean? And so we depend on those things. We depend on technology. Technology didn't want to work for me a while ago, and so that's why we started a little late. But I think um, most of the times those systems work, and that's a great thing, right? But what happens when they become overwhelmed, right? I'm gonna go tonight. All tonight, I'm gonna go back to that earthquake, right? What about when those systems don't work? What about when they crumble to the ground? What about because everybody else is responding to everywhere else, right? Um, you know, you can even imagine a major storm, right? This earthquake, right? Thousands of people needed help. Roads, roads are broken up, right? The power is out in most places, and a lot. And so in all of those videos, I did see a lot of people communicating on their cell phone. I also saw a lot of people trying to connect. So I don't know if all cell phones were out or just certain ones, but I did see a lot of people trying to connect on their phone. Um, and then emergency calls can be coming in from everywhere, and you could be placed on hold because of the volume of calls, because there are only so many um, phone emergency operators to be able to handle all of those calls. And so I know for a fact that um, help may not be coming. Nobody may not be coming to help. And so I think we've become a little dependent too much on the systems, you know. So where does that leave your family, right? This is where preparedness comes in. And so tonight I want to ask this question there in the chat. Salt Miss is going to put it up, is if you called the 911 tonight and you were told that it could take 30 minutes, an hour, or longer before someone arrived, what would your family do? Put your answer in the chat. I want you guys to you know, let's talk about that, because this is something I think we really, is should be one of the things that we prepare for. Is if nobody's coming, what are we to do, right? And this, yeah, you're right, Tammy. Tammy says this reminds me of when 9/11 happened. Exactly. I was one of those guys with my mouth hitting the floor because I witnessed it on the news. I was in front of the TV when all of that was happening. Um, yeah, you're so right on that. Yes, Scott, you're right. We have to be our own first responder. Yeah, put your answer in the chat there, and I really want you guys to think about that question, because, what if you're told, all emergency vehicles, all firefighters, all policemen are busy right now. It'd probably be an hour before we get to you, and then in your mind there should be a flood of things, right? What if the one of my family members go small, accidentally cut himself, right? Really bad. It's going to need stitches. What if, there was a drive-by and when all of this happened and somebody shot by accident or whatever, right? How, and you're being told now it's going to be an hour or longer before anybody can get to you. What do you do, right? Part 2 here. Shelly, you're right. It depends on the emergency, right? It depends but we're going to get into this because I'm really going to challenge all of you guys, because I'm challenging myself to learn a whole lot more, right? Yes, this year is 25th year. You're right, Scott. Thank you for reminding us. Dana says it's just me. So if medical, like I like a cut, I'll have to take care of it. Yes, I might call a friend, but I almost sure that his nighttime driving. Yeah, if security, I'll call Mr. 22. Okay. Yeah. So we have to be that person, right? We have to be the one that's going to step in. Hey, Loretta, welcome into the live tonight. Thank you for joining us. Yes, Loretta says, don't be afraid to learn something new or ask questions, no matter how silly they seem. Trust your instincts and learn on the only one that can truly save you. Yes, lean on the only one that can truly save you. Yes. Learn, stop the bleed, Shelly says. Yes, that's good to do. So yeah, that's important. Let's look at the next one. I want to talk about becoming your family's first line of help. All of you guys are saying that there. That's pretty awesome. Y'all must have talked to Salt Miss. She's the only one that gets all the info. Just kidding. All right. Being prepared doesn't mean that you become the police officer. It doesn't mean that you become the firefighter, and it doesn't mean that you become replace the EMS. Now, I say that lightly because you just might have to, right? In the event like what happened today, you just might have to do that, right? You might have to be those things. It also means that you understand that you have the responsibility during the first few minutes or even hours of the emergency, that your job is to keep your family alive, to keep your family calm, to keep your family connected and safe, right? And moving in the right direction. And that's what I'm talking about tonight, right? It's being that person that, let's say there's a big cut, right? A bigger cut than normal. It's not a band-aid type of situation. It's probably a sewing situation, right? There are many articles on the internet that shows you how to suture. Now, I will tell you that in an emergency, if I had to do that, I would do it. But when there's no emergency happening, like right now, we're all okay, we're all in our homes, go to the doctor. But in the event there's an emergency happening and no one's coming, that's you, right? That's what we're gonna need to learn. So, can you care for your family? Is what I want to talk to you about tonight. So, because we're talking about medical, let's start with medical. What happens if somebody gets hurt? Do you have a first aid kit? First and foremost, do you have first aid kit? Do you have a first aid kit that has everything in it, or is it just a Band-Aids first aid kit, right? Have you thought about even putting into your preps, Israeli bandage, stop the bleed stuff, all of that? Have you thought about those things? Because do you know how to use it? That's the question that I have, right? It's good to have the things, but do you know how to use it? And you know me, I'm going to tell you, practice with your preps, right? There's a huge difference between owning a trauma kit and knowing, what to do when someone is really, really bleeding, right? Can you recognize, that it's a serious injury? Can you provide the basic first aid? Can you control a severe bleed? Can you perform CPR? Recognize the signs of shock. Do you even know what that looks like, or what those signs are, right? And then it's important to know when something requires immediate professional care, right? You don't have to become the doctor. It's not what I'm saying. But every adult should consider learning basic first aid, learning CPR, learning stop the bleed, because the person who needs to help may be sitting right next to you, or that person that needs to help just might be you, right? Dana says, I have basic first aid supplies. I have thought about the Israeli bandage, etc., but I honestly forgot about it. Yeah. And, it's important to have those things. You may never need it, but you have it, right? It might not even be for you, right? It could be for a neighbor. It could be for a family member. And all of a sudden you remembered, hey, I stocked this item in my first aid kit. I have it. Let's use it, right? And because you've learned how to use it, you know how to apply it, right? So you're that person until EMS arrives. You're that person until the fire department, the policeman, you're that person. That's you, right? So here's the next chat question. If someone in your family became seriously injured tonight, would you know what to do during the first 5 minutes? Would you know what to do? Yes, no, not sure? Put it in the chat. And trust me, Don't be embarrassed if your answer is no, because it's not failure. That's how information is sent out, right? And information tells us, what we need to learn. This is why I always say stay vigilant, right? Stay vigilant, stay prepared. So let's see. Dana says, I keep pads and roller bandages in my kitchen. I used it 2 years ago. Okay. Shelly says, expect that everything in the trailer after we got home. Seriously, I just need extra sets of everything. Yes, right. We say backups for the backups, right? Dana says ABC. I believe so. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. That is correct. Would depend on the injury. Yes, you're right, Salt Miss. I have a pretty good kit, but Scott says, yes, I was my Boy Scout and got a lot of training in the military. I take classes at my range monthly. That's good, Scott. That's good to hear. I'm glad you're doing that. You're a good example for all of us. Um, it's like you shared with us not too long ago, Scott, about how your son cut himself, right? That's an experience that you have. You took him to the doctor, but think about that instance. If that happened and there was nobody coming until way later, how would you? Yeah, that's. I just thought about that too. Yeah, keep that up, Scott. That's awesome. All right, so the next thing is, can you transport your family? I want to talk about transportation. What if your family needs to leave? Not next week. Let's say your family needs to leave tonight, right? Can your vehicle carry everyone that's in your family? Do you have enough fuel in your vehicle? Do you have multiple ways of getting out of your neighborhood? They've been doing construction here in our neighborhood, and the main way that I get out to go to work every day has been blocked. And so there are two other ways that I can get out of my subdivision to get back on the highway. And so it's important to learn those other avenues to transport yourself out of your neighborhood, right? Learn those ways. I would encourage you guys to do that. What if your normal route is blocked? For me, it's been like that for the last 2 weeks. And then what if the highway is closed? I remember when Snowvid happened, work was adamant that we go to work. And, I work in a whole nother town and it's about an hour drive away. And I remember that morning. It was bad. And I took my normal way. And then I got on the highway. And as soon as I got on the highway, I was exited off the highway because the highway was shut down because of all the ice accumulation that had accumulated on all of the overpasses and on the highway. And so I had to call in and say, well, I can't get to work, you know? And so what if the highway's closed, right? What if GPS goes down and it's not working, right? It's important for you guys to have a way out, that you have a route, right? You plan ahead, right? Knowing your area matters. That's important, right? You should know route A, route B, route C, to get out of where you are. Maneuver. And then what if scenario, right? What if the highway was down? How do you get, down the road? You should know where those routes lead, right? A, B, and C. And then also where they end, right? Where you need to take the next route, right? Don't wait for the evacuation. Please, 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 please. We're in hurricane season. Those of you who live on the coast, Don't wait until the evacuation order comes. Figure out which road to take and take it early, right? Different routes. Dana says different routes will also show you either safer or more dangerous areas if there are ponds or small stores, etc. Yeah, that's true, because you're going to need water and all of that good stuff, right? Yeah, that's good stuff. Chat question. Here's the next question for you guys. If you had to leave your home tonight, could your family be in the vehicle and moving within 10 minutes? Yes or no? And if not, what would slow you down? If you had to leave your home tonight, could you fit all of your family in your vehicle and move them within 10 minutes? Yes or no? All right, we're almost done. Next one is, can you communicate? Let's talk about communication, right? For the example of today, right? I can imagine that cell phone networks were overloaded. I'm pretty sure because of how I witnessed the violence of the shaking of the earth in the videos I was watching. Um, you know, I'm pretty sure that some phone lines were probably down because of all of that, right? So what if, all of that goes out? What if your phone battery dies in the middle of an emergency? What if your spouse is at work, you're at home? What if your children are at school, you're at home or at work? Do you have a family communication plan and not just your phone? Because I will say that in the event that phone systems go down, how do you communicate? Well, if you know Fernando has a way to communicate via radio, right? GMRS, ham radio, and Meshtastic. I'm able to use my cell phone in the event that the cell phone network dies. I can still use my cell phone connected to my Meshtastic device, and I can transmit text messages via that radio over a dead network. If my family member also has a Meshtastic device, because then we can communicate together. So I would encourage you guys to go beyond the radio, right? You'll always hear me preach about GMRS because I'm licensed there. Um, one of these days, I'm going to take the test for ham radio. I'll be licensed there. And then I have the Meshtastic device, which doesn't require a license at all. It just requires you to have a cell phone with Bluetooth activity. So I would encourage you guys to look at that. If you want help, I can help you with that. I can send you some links for some devices that are really inexpensive and they're ready to go out the box. All you have to do is connect your phone to it. And then hopefully there are nodes in your area, right? Which in Texas, there are tons. Our state is pretty big. So it's important to have a communication plan and not just your cell phone, right? And even in this plan, you should have in there who to contact, where are we going to meet, right? If we lose communication and there's no way to communicate in this plan, there needs to be, in the event that we cannot communicate, cell phones don't work, and we probably can't get together over a radio or something, We need to have a meetup spot, right? There needs to be a meetup spot. We all meet up there. We don't move from that spot until everybody gets there, right? And so, and then if somebody can't get there, then you have to work backwards. But there has to be a plan for that. Where do we meet? If we can't reach each other, what system are we using? Right? Are we using GMRS, or are we scattered further that we need to be on ham radio? And what if one family member can't get home? Once you're all together, minus one, it's now backtracking where that person last was to find that person, right? So you have to have a communication plan. That is so important. It is 10 o'clock. I'm going to skip down to part 9, salt mist. This is the spiritual side of all of this, right? And this is where I think God's prepared warriors are different, because ultimately we know that we are not in control of the situation. For example, the folks today in the earthquake, they were not in control of that situation, right? You know, we can prepare everything and for every scenario, but we're not always going to be ready for that scenario, right? That one thing. And a lot of people were not ready for what happened today, right? We can plan, we can train, we can make wise decisions, but God is still our provider. I love what Psalms 46:1 says. God is our strength. He is our refuge and an ever-present help in trouble. And so, you know, if I was in that situation today, that is the verse that I would make sure was at the forefront of my mind and in my heart. Yeah, I probably would be kind of, you know, a little bit freaking out because I've never experienced an earthquake. And, you know, but I would tell you, I would be quoting some scripture uh, because I'm going to need to keep myself calm, right? But I want you to notice something here in this verse. It doesn't say there won't be trouble. It says God is present in the trouble, right? And that's our foundation. You know, we don't prepare because we don't trust God. We prepare because we want to be faithful stewards of what God has entrusted to us, right? Our families, our homes, you know, our skills, our resources, our communities. And you know, sometimes the people around us, there will be people around us who just might need the help, right? And that's important. You may just be someone else's first line of help. And it's important, guys, that we practice with our preps. It's important that we think beyond the simple, right? It's like we were talking earlier. You know, it's great to have a first aid kit, have the first aid kit, but add all of those other things that we might need to it to be able to help somebody else, right? You know, tonight's message isn't just how can I save my family, right? It's also how can I become capable of helping somebody else. This might not be a end of the world thing, right, where we help somebody. We might be commuting somewhere, going to the grocery store, going to work even maybe, and all of a sudden we witness a terrible accident. Are you the you're not the one that just keeps on driving and says somebody will take care of that? Or are you like me? And you know, sometimes I will stop and spring into action and help any way I can to help somebody that's in need, right? Imagine that's your neighbor. Imagine, you know, that's an elderly neighbor. You know, imagine you're the one with all the know-how and your neighbor could be the one without. And you could just be someone else's first line of help. Who's going to check in on them, right? Maybe you, maybe someone, their family might do it. Maybe, you have church members that might be alone. Maybe you have family members that might be alone. Who's going to check on them, right? Preparedness gives us the ability to serve, right? And that's the important part of what we're building here, right? We don't just, um, hide in our homes. We don't, poop's hitting the fan, so I'm locking the doors and I'm locking the windows and I'm barricading myself in. No, we take the time to, help others, right? We prepare so that when we're needed, we're capable of helping, right? And so I think that's important. Dana says, however, I promise. Oh, it says I'm like you, and it drives my friends and family crazy. However, I promised my mother. Oh, I have to fix this real quick. I promised my mother and my best friend that I will never stop for people to give them a ride anymore. I kept my promise for many years. Well, that's a good thing. We live in a crazy world. That's a good thing. Keep that promise, then. So here's your challenge for tonight as we end tonight. I want all of you guys to do something. I want you to take a piece of paper later, right? And write down the words care, transport, communicate, and protect, right? Care, transport, communicate, and protect. And then ask yourself, care, can I provide basic medical assistance? Can you? Transport, can I get my family somewhere safely? Communicate, can I stay connected if technology fails? And then protect, can I recognize danger and keep my family out of it? And then ask the question, what is my weakest area? Because that is where you work on next, right? And don't be afraid to answer that, because finding your weakness isn't failure. Finding your weakness is really the beginning of preparedness. So you're going to be the one. If nobody's coming, you're going to be the one. And so I would encourage you, practice with your preps. Think beyond the first aid kit and think about bigger things, right? Take the opportunity to go to Goodwill and places like that and look for books on basic first aid. Look for books, nursing books. I usually run into a lot of nursing books. A lot of students are getting rid of books, right? I don't need this book anymore, they say. And that treasure can be your treasure, right? Information for us in the event we need to be that person. All right, guys, thank you for joining me tonight. I am super excited all of you guys were here. I am so glad. Let's keep this going, right? Even after this, if you guys want to continue to comment in here on some of the good things that we talked about tonight, and really taking today's scenario and really breaking it down, looking at each. That's what I did. I looked at each video and, I'm in awe, and I am thinking in my brain, what if that was me, right? Especially the mall video. That was eye-opening for me. We don't always go to the mall. I don't think we've been to the mall in years, but being in a crowded place like that and an earthquake happening, all the people trying to get out of that building all at once. Yeah, it didn't look good. It looked really scary. And so I don't know what happened to that building. I pray and hope that it stayed standing, because there was a lot of people in there trying to get out. And, you can easily be trampled in a place like that. So it's important for us to stay vigilant wherever we are. And we can't be ready for everything, but we can be ready for anything, guys. And that is us being good stewards of the skills that God has given to us, the talents that we have to do things, right? And to learn the things and to help others learn those things. So, guys, thank you for joining me tonight. I hope that you guys had a great time tonight. I look forward to reading all of your comments later on, and have a great night. And I will see you on tomorrow's videos, and look forward to seeing you then. So have a great day, guys. God bless you, and hope to see you next Monday for God's Prepared Warrior Live. But I'll see you tomorrow on tomorrow's video. God bless. Have a great night.